Hello everyone, I am Charlie Tolhurst and welcome to a COVID-19 lockdown update with me. At the moment, I am still stuck at home in self-isolation until next week. I have at least a week to go of my self-isolation. However though, I am going to bring you some good news and some news of hope to everyone. Next week, from the 2nd of December at midnight, the UK's national coronavirus lockdown restrictions will automatically expire as a matter of law. It is being confirmed that the UK will enter a new three-tiered system to slow the spread of the disease. On Thursday, there will be a Parliament will decide what areas will go into what tiers. And it's vital that people continue to follow the new rules. These rules aim at curbing the spread of infections and curbing the spread of new cases. This is a winter coronavirus plan that should be very, very important. Now, let's have a look at the brand new lockdown measures that I am just getting up for you right now, about what you can and can't do under the new rules. Now, remember, guys, these rules do not come into effect until next Wednesday. So whilst the announcement was made in Parliament yesterday, I can safely say that I have a list here of what you can and can't do. So here is the measures that you can and can't do. So there will be 3 tiers. There will be tier 1, there will be tier 2, and there will be a tier 3. These will be strengthened though from what they were before. Under tier 1, you will be allowed, the rule of 6 will be allowed to apply indoors and outdoors. So you're allowed to meet up at home within groups of up to 6 people. Okay? In these tiers. So in the medium alert level, that's where the rule of 6 applies. Also, members of support bubble are allowed as well. Pubs, bars, restaurants will reopen next week under tier 1 and tier 2 for in-person dining. In tier 1, the rule of 6 does apply for indoor hospitality. Non-essential shops and gyms will also reopen next week as well, from the 2nd of December. Everyone who can work from home will also be encouraged to continue doing that. Schools will remain open. Hotels will also reopen as well under the new tier 1 restrictions. Personal care is also allowed. Weddings and funerals in tier 1 will be allowed with up to 15 guests, 30 for funerals. Indoor entertainment is allowed open. Places of worship can reopen but cannot interact with more than 6 people at a time. The big news though is that sport and live performances and business meetings can be limited to 50% capacity or 4,000 people outdoors, whichever is lower, and 50% of capacity or 1,000 people indoors, whichever is lower. That's tier 1. From tier 2, there is no mixing of households indoors apart from support bubbles. Maximum of 6 outdoors will still be allowed. Pubs and bars must close unless operating as restaurants. Hospitality venues can still serve alcohol with substantial meals. Venue must stop taking orders at 10 p.m. and must close by 11. So in other words, there is now an 11 p.m. curfew on pubs and restaurants. As well, the rest of tier 2 measures though still apply. However, though large events, that also still applies as well, except that is lower as well. Under the very high alert level, which is tier 3, There is no household mixing indoors or most outdoor places apart from support bubbles. Maximum of 6 people allowed in some areas, including parks and public gardens. Under the new restrictions, which is pretty similar to a full national lockdown pretty much, pubs, bars, restaurants and hospitality will close with the exception of sales via takeaway and drive-through or delivery services. Non-essential retail, though, however, will remain open. Gyms will be remaining open. Group activities and classes will not take place under the Tier 3 restrictions. Weddings and wedding receptions will not be permitted under Tier 3. Accommodation will also close under Tier 3 as well. And any large events will not take place. Driving events will be permitted and all large events, including likes of football matches, will be held behind closed doors. Now, I've given you a brief rundown of all the restrictions that are on that tiered system. And it's very important that we all obey these rules to slow the spread of the virus down. It is extremely important. So 'tis the season to be jolly careful. Now, this is what the Prime Minister Boris Johnson had to say whilst addressing MPs yesterday in the House of Commons chamber. Have a listen to this.
England will end on the 2nd of December and they will not be renewed. From next Wednesday, people will be able to leave their home for any purpose and meet others in outdoor public spaces subject to the rule of 6. Collective worship, weddings and outdoor sports can resume, and shops, personal care, gyms and the wider leisure sector can reopen. No other peacetime Prime Minister has asked so much of the British people, and just as our country has risen to every previous trial, so it has responded this time, and I am deeply grateful. But the hard truth, Mr. Speaker, is that we're not there yet. First, we must get through winter without the virus spreading out of control and squandering our hard-won gains at exactly the time when the burden on the NHS is always greatest. Our winter plan is designed to carry us safely to spring. We're going to go back instead to a regional tiered approach, applying the toughest measures where COVID is most prevalent. And while the previous local tiers did cut the number and cut the R number, they were not quite enough to reduce it below 1. So the scientific advice, I'm afraid, is that as we come out, our tiers need to be made tougher. I'm sorry to say we expect that more regions will fall, at least temporarily, into higher levels than before. But by using these tougher tiers and by using rapid turnaround tests on an ever greater scale to drive R below 1 and keep it there, it should be possible for areas to move down the tiering scale to lower levels of restrictions. We all want some kind of Christmas. We need it. We certainly feel we deserve it. But what we don't want is to throw caution to the winds and allow the virus to flare up again, forcing us all back into lockdown in January. So to allow families to come together while minimising the risk, we're working with the devolved administrations on a special time-limited Christmas dispensation, embracing the whole of the United Kingdom and reflecting the ties of kinship across our islands.
The vaccine is the light at the end of the tunnel. The question today is how do we get there and protect lives and livelihoods along the way? The Prime Minister proposes a return to the 3-tier system. That's risky because the previous 3-tier system didn't work. Tier 1 areas drifted to Tier 2, almost all Tier 2 areas ended up in Tier 3, and those in Tier 3 couldn't see a way out, and we ended up in national lockdown. That was the sad reality of the tiered system before, and nobody wants a repeat of that.
Thank you there to the Prime Minister Boris Johnson for announcing, but also to the leader of the opposition and the Labour Party leader Sir Keir Starmer. He also commented on the new three-tier system. Now, in my opinion, this is going to come as a shock to some businesses. I do think that for many people, this is going to affect, especially those in Tier 3, this is going to affect a lot of the self-employed massively, sole traders as well, and the self-employed who don't get a lot of financial support as it is at the moment. There is going to be a lot of work for government to do to get enough funding to support these small businesses. I'm talking, as I mentioned, they're sole traders, self-employed, even people working in on low-income salaries as well. And there has also been some news as well regarding the self-isolation. I've heard a lot of news regarding that the government are planning in January to drop the self-isolation and for 14-day quarantine and replace it with daily testing, so with rapid turnaround tests. So is the UK about to enter mass testing? There has also been some news as well about airport testing as well for people travelling abroad. Grant Shapps announced that that will be coming into effect in the middle of next month, where people can go abroad again, but obviously they need to have a negative COVID test to allow themselves to go abroad as well. There's going to be more mass testing at airports as well. And before I finish as well, this very important update. Okay, I'm not out of self-isolation until these lockdown restrictions ease. So I want to be careful. I want to stress to people here, guys, that this new three-tier system is risky, but it's a system that's going to have to be in place now because we can't afford again to go into another national lockdown. These endless series of national lockdowns, locking down the whole country. These national lockdowns will just cause more economic pain, more severe pain for mental health sufferers out there. We really need to look at the foreseeable future ahead and say, you know what, we've just got to learn to live with this virus. We've really got to start being extremely careful, not be too haphazard, be extremely careful, and also as well, to everybody, please wear a mask. Please wear a face covering. I would say pretty much wherever you go, wherever you're in contact with someone, in less than 2 meters, please wear a face covering. It limits contact. I know outdoors it gets pretty cold. Now we're in coming into December soon. I want you guys to try and wear a face covering if you can. But also as well, if you're indoors, you must try and obey social distancing as well. And obviously all of these sport events will be coming back. They'll also have social distancing in place as well. And also, the big thing now is I want and for Christmas, if the UK government are planning with devolved administrations, which include the likes of Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Republic of Ireland as well, and also Northern Ireland, they're also planning on allowing families to gather at Christmas for a limited number of days. It does not mean we'll go back to the full national lockdown. It means that we'll go back to this tiered system once these little Christmas restrictions end. But I want to stress with you guys, right now, the road ahead is going to be never-ending. It is going to be extremely long. However, though, I do have hope that there is a pasture of light that is at the end of the tunnel. And I really hope that Britain can get back to some kind of normality by some point next year. But at the moment, my prediction could still be overruled. We still have to work together right now and unite as collectively as a nation to help defeat COVID-19. So please, everyone, wash hands, cover face, and make space. Stay safe, everyone. Take care, and goodbye.